Welcome. It works. Okay. Like most of you, we've gotten emails from friends who turned out to be not friends, text messages, accidentally triggered a website that wasn't the website we thought it was. I remember getting a call from Microsoft saying there's something wrong with your computer. And I almost fell for it, but stopped before they got any vital information. So we thought today's topic would be useful to deal with, and we have Jeremy Wilterdink here. I've known Jeremy for more than 17 years, I guess. You were on the force when I started as a police chaplain. So, we've met in not very good circumstances, I guess, but he was part of a police force that Menominee should be proud of. It's a very professional, compassionate. There were times when they didn't need a police chaplain. The officer there at the scene was doing just fine. I just stood around and watched. And Jeremy was part of that. He's now retired from the Menominee Police Department after 20 years of service. In that time, he worked with the Wisconsin Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. He was a member of the High Technology Crimes Investigation Association. He enjoys testing and securing systems as well as solving challenges of cybersecurity. He lives in Menominee with his fantastic wife, Josie, and their 3 children, and we're not between a chair and computer screens. He enjoys fishing, hunting, and family, and I know he's also a good Lutheran. So welcome, Jeremy, and we look forward to what you have to tell us.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you for having me. And like Dave said, greetings from across town and Christ Lutheran Church. Got to get closer. There we go. Okay. So these presentations are always a little hard to put together because I don't quite know what everybody wants to walk away with. I certainly want this to be useful and impactful for you folks, something to learn about. If we just jump to the next slide, Paul. So we have the screenshot there just right from the ALCA website. We're whole people full of questions. I'm all looking to figure things out, not only our faith journey, but our life journeys. And certainly if you were here for the sermon this morning and if you're staying for second service and catch the sermon then, whether or not you knew it, I think Pastor Heather could have replaced cybersecurity or cyber threats into a lot of the things she talked about during the sermon and had it all come together. So we're going to talk about some things we can do to prevent these things from happening, how to be resilient if they do. And also I don't want anybody walking out of here afraid or, boy, I'm going to throw my phone in the garbage can and never use a computer ever again. That's not at all the point of this. But sometimes that is easy to feel like. So after retiring from Menominee Police Department, I have joined Wisconsin Credit Union and as an IT security analyst. So I've been there since the beginning of the year. So hopefully we can inspire a little better and get everybody up to speed a little more on this topic and just raise some more awareness around it. There's an old book by Robert Fulghum, always trying to distill down complex topics into some simple things. Don't take what's not yours. If we only all live by those, we could do a lot of good in the world. Sometimes I think as upper Midwestern Lutherans, we can fall for some things because they're a lot of these scammers, a lot of these things that are going on. They're very convincing. they're easy to fall for, and we kind of lose our natural. Has anybody ever had a little kid and told them no? Or had them tell you no? Paul, can you play the next video?
Okay.
Let's go, Percy. Hey?
Okay.
So other than being cute as a button, this young lady has a superpower, right? So she's not afraid to say, no, this isn't right. These are mine. And what does she do first? Takes them from him, moves them a little bit down the couch, right? And pretty soon, then they're on the couch over here across the room. We're trying to move those things away from the folks we want, and ultimately, she's grabbing them, taking them with her. Not even leaving it in a place where somebody she doesn't want getting at it can get at it. And the whole time through, she's monitoring. She's paying attention to what's going on with her information, with the rest of her life, even though she's down the hall and around the corner. Boy, she hears that noise and just comes a running. We all have a digital footprint in our lives, that's for certain. Just with everything being housed electronically, even those of us who don't have a large online presence or online profile, maybe you don't use social media a whole lot, you still have a presence there and some sort of presence. The next video here, this is Rachel Toback. She runs a social engineering company, they call it. So how to access people's information, really, we get this picture in our mind of what is hacking. Is it technical? Is it breaking a computer system? Or is it being able to collect information and then use that information onward? And that's what she's really good at. And I think this video actually came out earlier this week, and I think it does a great job explaining a lot of the life cycle of what one of these events can look like. It's about a 5-minute video, but one of the biggest takeaways here, and we'll talk about it a little bit, is just all the work that actually went into this. And it's kind of like watching a fishing show on TV. Boy, they're catching a fish every 30 seconds, right? but it took 2 days worth of shooting to produce that. So that's something to keep in mind as we watch this next video here.
So you agreed to get hacked? You know, I am really safe on the internet. I don't open links that I shouldn't. I have a very, very low profile. I do not think I am a good target here.
This is Jeffrey Katzenberg, co-founder and former CEO of DreamWorks and billionaire investor.
What's happening today?
I'm hacking Jeffrey Katzenberg. It's going to be fun.
This is Rachel Toback, and she can hack just about anything. As an ethical hacker, she's hacked news reporters, Fortune 500 companies, and everything in between.
Jeffrey might think he's pretty safe. Most people do. But the truth is that nobody is unhackable. And it can be surprisingly easy to get in. Want to see how it's done? I'm in charge of the human hacking, and Evan is behind the technical elements of the exploit and hack. We're going to build our pretext using information from data breaches and data brokerage sites. The first step for an attacker is to figure out who you are going to pretend to be and how you're going to contact them. This hack, I think it makes sense to be Jeffrey's right-hand man, Anthony Saleh. Anthony recently had a Wall Street Journal article about him and Jeffrey's working relationship, and we can find more details about how to pretend to be in this hack from Jeffrey's work website.
So this specific attack works because Jeffrey's computer is out of date. A security researcher has found a vulnerability in Jeffrey's software, and now that's publicly known. The vendor has since fixed this problem, but since Jeffrey hasn't updated, the patches aren't protecting him yet.
Now it's time to send Jeffrey our message with the malicious link. So what we're going to do is place a call to Jeffrey, and we're going to spoof the phone number, make the caller ID look like it's calling from Anthony. We're also going to use voice changing software and add in background noise. So it sounds like I'm in a really loud place and I can't really hear him because I can't do Anthony's voice. So I can only say a little bit.
So as I think we were talking about, I really think I'm sorry. Hey, Anthony, what's up? What? Check email? Oh, okay.
I think we got it.
Hey, Mindy, can I have you come in?
He clicked. Okay, we got it. Okay, so now our attack prompts Jeffrey to open a shared cloud folder, which we told him to expect in the phishing email. Once he clicks open, the rest of the attack will continue in the background, and we'll be able to steal data from any site he's currently logged.
Second here, guys. Sorry.
That's how we hacked a billionaire.
It was at this point that we thought it might be nice to tell Jeffrey exactly what had happened.
Oh boy, Rachel, Evan, you people are bad people. Guess I was just a bit too confident.
It's okay if I come in?
Come on,
I'm coming in.
Come on,
I
explain
already
this to
hacked
me.
you. It's worse than you realize.
No, it can't be any worse than I
It
think.
is.
Come on.
Let me show you.
Yeah, can't wait to hear the good news here.
You probably want to know what all happened, what all went down.
Yeah, I'd say.
You remember that email from Anthony?
Yeah.
That was me.
How is it you if it's from Anthony?
I had a lookalike email address, so it looked like I was emailing from Anthony, but I was actually emailing as myself.
So how do you get a...
You can just purchase it. It's .co instead of .com. And then the phone number, I was spoofing that phone call. So
I know, but it was Anthony's voice.
I used a voice changer.
That's bananas.
Isn't that nuts? And so you probably want to see what I got from you.
I probably don't, but I think you're going to show it to me anyway. So
Yes. The first thing that we were able to steal,
see my driver's license.
probably also recognize that I was able to steal your passport, COVID card, pictures of your grandkids. These pictures were in your cloud.
So any website that you're currently logged into, we could access. Because you were logged into your email on your machine, we were able to steal all your emails.
Because you clicked the malicious link and your computer was out of date. So you know how that little thing will come in on the side and it'll say, update your computer now? And you're like, no, thank you. I would rather do anything else. And enough of those weeks built up and we had a known vulnerability with your computer out of date that we were able to leverage against you.
You are really malicious.
So we were also able to steal your contacts, which is scary because, you're a pretty connected individual. When you are hacked, there's a huge blast radius among you and all the people that you have connections with. You remember when you got that phone call from Anthony, right? Well, unfortunately, when you click that link, we were able to gain access to your mic, and we didn't even indicate that that mic was on, and we were able to listen in on your call. So you want me to roll the footage back for you here?
No, I take your word for it.
All right. I'm going to play it anyway.
No, I'm sure you are.
Check that email you.
Remember that call?
Yeah.
You don't even really use the internet that much.
No, I have a super low profile.
Right.
But it's amazing just how vulnerable we all are.
I know. It's scary stuff. Thanks for being a good sport.
Thank you for nothing. All right, you guys, get out of here.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Have a shitty trip. Goodbye. Thanks for nothing.
So here we are. We find ourselves right with something bad that's happened. How did it all chain together? Again, this is a lot of work by people who are good at their jobs. I mean, even Rachel didn't pull this off by herself, right? A phenomenally talented person had someone helping her with the technical exploit on the back end. Hopefully you caught some of the things in there, how this could have been short-circuited, right? Paying attention to that email address and really close. They used a lookalike email address, ended in .co.co instead of .com. But it's real quick to click through our emails or even our text messages and not really check the number, check the name, and see what's there. Are we keeping our devices up to date? Our phones, our computers. We'll talk a little later even about our home routers. Those are probably things get plugged in, and until they give us a problem, most people don't mess with them ever again until it's either time to replace it or time to fix something. So those are all chances that could have been had to prevent something like this happening to Jeffrey. And then how the attack pivots on. How does the attack keep happening down the line to other people in Jeffrey's circle? Certainly, cybercrime is primarily financially motivated. We can go on to the next slide, Paul. Some people would say the only motivation for it is financial. I think there are some other topics we do need to talk about, the interpersonal and the disruptive things, particularly in the geopolitical situation we found ourselves in here and now. But again, most of these things are financially targeted. These are people looking for either information about you that they can sell or to lock up your information and extract a ransom, or to pivot into something more profitable going onward. If we advance one more slide, what might some of these typical more scam as opposed to targeted phishing attacks look like? These things can start, very simple. Even as simple as an email that just says, "Hey," from somebody who you think you know. And when I say email, keep in mind these do happen in Teams channels, in Slack channels, for those of us who are working remotely. They can happen in text message, in messaging apps. And first off, they just start having a conversation with you. "Hey, are you available?" "Yeah, I'm available." "Well, can I call you? Can I send you a quick email? Can you reply to this for me right away?" There's usually a speed. There's some distraction involved. If you think back to the video with Rachel there, right? Jeffrey's mind was on the interview he was doing with the camera crew in his living room, right? He wasn't paying full attention. Sometimes we just move a little fast or a little faster than we should. If you get to a point in any one of these things where somebody is asking you to pay them with gift cards are great for gifts. They're awesome for that. But I don't think anybody in the world legitimately gets their paycheck in gift cards. So if somebody's rendered you a service or asked for something and just send me this much in Apple gift cards, Google gift cards, whatever they are, be careful. Really start asking yourself some questions, because these things are probably not going to be legitimate. Same thing with refund or overpayment. Oops, yeah, I want to buy your whatever it is you're selling. Oh, sure, the price is, I don't know, $100. Well, okay, I'll send you a check for $1,000. You keep 200 of that for your trouble and send the other 800 back to me. Well, why? We got to be asking questions at that point. For all the great things about it, the American financial system has a little bit of a lag in it. That's very purposeful. It's how it's built for regulation, how money flows through our financial system up to the Federal Reserve and bank to bank, things like that. Those scammers are really looking to take advantage of that underlying system because they know if it moves fast right away, in a day or so, it's going to be 2 or 3 until it's actually discovered, until a return payment or this is why maybe your bank or financial institution says, no, you made a deposit, we got a couple-day hold on that, because they want to make sure that money actually appears before they pay it out again. With transfers, maybe you're a person that does a whole lot of wire transfers. I'm not. I just don't have that need in my life, but some folks do. So keep in mind that is a lot like sending cash. Once it's cleared, once it's cashed out on the other end, the chances of retrieval are very slim. We also have a lot of apps nowadays. This one isn't a huge attack vector, but just something to be aware of. You have some apps. There's one that's very popular for paying each other if you're out for dinner called Venmo. Certainly I've used it. Think it's a good company. But keep in mind that's a lot like just sharing cash. That's not one that happens to be backed by the FDIC or the NCUA. It's not necessarily insured. So if you are, pay attention, do that monitoring, right? Like that little girl in the video did. Hey, how big is my balance getting there? Should I move some of this back out into my normal bank account instead of keeping a large amount in there? It's just a little safety thing to be aware of. Obviously, if things are too good to be true, they probably are. Oh, there are some smoking deals out there, sure. Did you actually put eyes on this thing you're buying? Do you know who this person is? Lottery scams are always interesting to me, and when I was taking them and investigating them in law enforcement, big questions was, well, okay, when was the last time you visited there and played lottery? Oh, I've never been to Nigeria. Oh, so you didn't walk into the Nigerian 7-Eleven and buy a lottery ticket? How could this be? And that's when, unfortunately, the light bulbs come on of, oh, yeah, if you're not playing, how do you get the reward? So keep some of those things in the back of your mind. A lot of these scams and emails and phone calls will also come with threats, right? Your computer's been breached. Let me in so I can help you. Let me in so I can install a program that you don't want on your computer, is what they're doing. Or it might come with a threat of incarceration of you, or hey, your loved one, your grandchild, your son, your daughter is already in jail in insert foreign country here. Well, are they? Take a second to validate those things. Call somebody else in your family you trust. Get off of that immediate call or that immediate thing you're in and have a chat. Is grandson, granddaughter really traveling? I mean, I know it's spring break. Maybe they are. Or are they not even there? And those are some big tips for you. And certainly power companies are a lot of times victims of this, or these people are pretending to be a power gas company, and nobody wants their lights to go off. So you're thinking, boy, I got to pay this, the IRS, all of those threats there. But those places communicate, generally speaking, by mailing you a letter. They know where your service address is. They're not going to generate these in emails and phone calls. Sometimes also these things get to reputation, right? You would think we wouldn't have these things, particularly amongst the younger generation, but we've got a younger generation that is dating differently, is interacting differently. They might never meet somebody that they're doing sexual things in front of a webcam with. And it turns out to be somebody they did not think it was. So now, again, it's more of a ransom situation of, hey, I'm going to post this on your blank social media page. If I don't get paid Y amount, it ends up to be more of that extortion type approach. Can we go to the next slide? Of course, the one that everybody is worried about now, right, is ransomware. So, insert bad dad joke here, but ransomware is probably the biggest threat to small and medium-sized businesses right now. I would say even large businesses. So how that stuff is introduced and what it is, these folks look to get a malicious program onto your computer. Most of the time they come through these phishing type emails like we just saw in that video. They install a piece of software, little program that comes on your computer. It locks your things up. But before it locks your things up, it tries to send a lot of your stuff back to them, back to their, what they call a command and control server. So it'll send back some of your secrets, some of your emails. If you're a business, some of those things that make you, your contact list, maybe your secret formula for whatever it is, Coca-Cola or the 13 herbs and spices, right? Those things have value to that business. And then they have a double extortion. So first off, they lock it up. Now your computers don't work, right? We had Colonial Pipeline that had a pretty big ransomware event. And they, to make sure the pipeline was safe, shut down the pipeline. Come to find out through some investigation, on their end, that really the pipeline was probably safe all along. They didn't know that initially because it was different between the business end of things and the actual functioning systems of the pipeline. But they had to shut it down, and certainly that impacted the lives of a vast part of our country. And they did end up paying the ransom. So some of these companies do that. Now you're seeing legislation come out. I believe it's in the fiscal budget bill now, where if a company does pay a ransom, they're going to have to publicly report it. At least if they're part of critical infrastructure. So, will we see more news of these things? Does that necessarily mean they're happening more or less? Or does it just mean that we're actually hearing about it more? Up the other end, there's one estimate that says that in 2021, so last year, they figure about the global cost of all cybercrime was $6 trillion. It's right around the size of the 2022 U.S. federal budget. Some are saying that by 2024, it's going to surpass all the money involved in the illegal drug trade. So obviously a huge, again, incentive for the people who are doing this kind of stuff, probably internationally, to make money and to keep doing these types of attacks. So we'll do the best we can to secure things down. Okay, go ahead to the next slide. So CISA, the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency of the federal government, rolled out the Stop, Think, Connect program many years ago, back under the Obama administration. Now it's been rebranded the Cybersecurity Awareness Initiative. Certainly CISA.gov is a great resource for anything you want to follow up on. That simple stop, think, connect phrase. If you're looking at those emails, you're getting that text message, you have that phone call. There's nothing wrong with stopping. Take a breath. You can take some notes. Nobody says, and I certainly at Wisconsin, we tell this to our customers too, I'm not going to be offended if you hang up on me. I had that happen when I was in law enforcement. Yeah, right. You're not a cop. You're not calling me about anything. Yeah, I am, because somebody else called and said they ran into your car. I'd just like to let you know about that. But hey, I get it. You're trying to protect yourself because you think, boy, out of the blue, why is somebody calling me? This doesn't seem right. So stop, think about what you got going on. Verify it. Verify it with somebody you know, somebody you trust. It doesn't even have to be that online source. Remember, those trusted people in our lives exist all around us. Don't be afraid to reach out. These things unfortunately do happen, but don't let that fear, that embarrassment keep you from verifying it or make the problem get worse. Sometimes you have various links. Are you able to hover over the word link? That'll come in an email or in a document. So I just made this one completely up. Hopefully, if you were to hover over this link and see that it says superreallybad.com, don't click on me, you shouldn't be here, no, that you wouldn't click on it. But that's where in that quick hover over those links to see what they are. If you're on your phone, which a lot of us are today, we carry a phone, maybe we interact more with our phones than we do with a physical computer. If you long press on the link, it will give you that full address without actually going there. Sometimes you might get some of these link shorteners. Bitly is just an example there. If you click the bottom of those two, the one with the plus at the end, it'll actually link us right to the website. If you enter any that shortened Bitly URL, so you can see that the shortened one is there, and it goes to, actually in blue, the http blog.bitly.com. So it takes you just to a little informational page about their service, is where that short link would take you. And sometimes we see the scammers using these shortened links, right? They don't want to put a full link in there to something that's, pretty obvious to you that it's wrong or it's spelled wrong. You expect these shortened links to be spelled wrong. That's how they function. So you can certainly go there as one option for you to check things out. There are some other services that URL X-ray is great too. If you open up a browser, just go to urlxray.com. You can put in any link and it'll tell you where it goes without actually bringing you there. So that's just a good way to inspect some of those links if you're kind of curious, or you don't really want to go there, but you want to make sure before you actually connect. And some of this, again, is all predicated on time. If you seem to be under a lot more pressure than you normally are to get something done, right? Certainly we've all done things fast and made an error. I've done it. It will happen. We go to the next slide. I get asked once in a while, well, what about these cryptocurrency things? Why don't we just ban them all? This will all go away. No, it won't. A lot of these scams are based on scams that have gone on before the US dollar was a currency, before cryptocurrency existed, before gift cards were a payment method. And they would continue to exist even if these things went away. There are so many different cryptocurrencies right now. They all function slightly differently. They all have slightly different amounts of security, privacy, difficulty in tracking who you're actually paying. If you make a legitimate payment and you accidentally type in a wrong destination wallet address, there really isn't a system for you to get it back. You'd be relying on the goodwill of the person who received it to say, oh, well, this isn't right. Maybe I should give this back. So just be cautious when you're using those or transacting in those. They aren't inherently any better or worse, in my opinion, than anything else out there. But they certainly are a thing. We see them associated, especially a lot in the news, with cybercrime activity. Can we go on to the next slide? So certainly a different version of cybercrime is interpersonal violence, be it sexual, stalking, harassing type behavior, tracking. Maybe you've seen some of the news articles about these Apple AirTags that are out. Apple has these neat little things about the size of a quarter where you can attach them to your car keys. And you can use your phone to figure out where your car keys are. Give you a little GPS location. Well, come to find out, some bad people are using these things to track people, either again for harassment purposes, or if I know you're at work, well, maybe I can break into your house because nobody's home. If you're concerned about these, if you have an iPhone, certainly you can use the native applications to figure out whether or not there's any AirTags by you. If you have an Android phone, Tracker Detect is an app made by Apple themselves, actually for use on Android, for telling you whether or not there's any of these Apple AirTags by you or around you. And certainly if one carries on around you for a long time, did someone slip it into your pocket or purse, put it on your car somewhere, attach it there so they can keep track of where you're going. Unfortunately, some folks once in a while fall into abusive and difficult relationships. If somebody's controlling their every move of where they're going, what they're doing, who they're with, be it in dating or a more formalized relationship, again, please reach out for localized help. Local law enforcement is there to help in these cases. If you don't want to go to law enforcement, certainly here locally, the Bridge to Hope is a huge resource. And then there's other national resources available through the National Domestic Violence Assistance Coalition. Certainly, if it's anything regarding children, 1-800-4-A-CHILD, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, does a tremendous amount, not just with missing kids, certainly with child pornography, exploited children, sex trafficking of children and adults that exists and unfortunately goes on in our society. And those are crimes that, they may be more technology assisted than they are necessarily strictly online crimes. But certainly they have a heavy use of technology in perpetrating those crimes. Can we go to the next slide? So disruption and destruction, again, they've been around in cybercrime for a long time. If somebody can gain access to your website or social media profile and put up a message to discredit you, to discredit your business. You lose credibility there. Denial of service attacks are fairly cheap to accomplish, and they're fairly effective. They can be used as cover for other things going on. But what basically that is, again, for anybody who's had children, do you ever have them put their fingers in their ears and start going, la, 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 I'm not listening to you? Well, there's so much noise, effective communication can't happen. And that's effectively what happens on a website with a denial of service attack. Somebody is using their computer or a group of computers to send so many messages that the system can't process them all. It just cannot handle the sheer volume of communication that's happening. So that end system starts to fail. It slows way down. You can't get access to it. And to that end, then you start having problems, customer engagement problems. In the news now, certainly there are, or at least there's an increased focus with what's going on in Ukraine and Russia with cyber espionage, right? Cyber warfare. Certainly, again, this has been around in our society, easily going on 10 years. What's widely viewed as the first weaponization and stuff like that was the U.S. and Israel against Iran's nuclear program. Never been formally acknowledged, but I think everybody pretty well views that those were the actors involved in breaking some uranium enrichment equipment. Because if they couldn't make enriched uranium, they couldn't make nuclear warheads. So those things do exist. Right now, if you're following the news, there is one, Viasat. It's actually a U.S. company. Boy, maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but it would seem odd that right about the time the conflict happens with Russia and Ukraine, the satellite system that the Ukrainian military uses for communication goes down. Unfortunately, that has a spillover onto the communications that are used between German windmills for generating power. So these spillover consequences can happen. That's probably for all the talk that we've seen, for all the hype, for all the scare, maybe that we've seen in the media, that is probably the most notable thing that seems like it has happened so far in that conflict. So know that those things are out there. Know that those organizations have teams of people on these issues, fixing these issues. Seems like a lot of their routers are just flat out going to need to be replaced, is what it seems like, to get all of those systems back up and running. Can we go to the next slide? This is an old video, but it's quite prescient. What are we sharing, and who are we sharing it with? And how are we setting our passwords? Passwords are always a hot topic.
You know, we've been hearing a lot about cybersecurity lately, largely because of what happened to Sony. Companies and individuals are more concerned about the safety and privacy of their information than ever. President Obama has unveiled a number of new proposals this week to crack down on hackers, and he plans to address this in the State of the Union speech on Tuesday. And it's great that the government is working on this, but the truth of the matter is we need to do a better job of protecting ourselves. You know, the most popular password in the United States is password 123. And as long as that's the case, we're vulnerable. So today we sent a camera out on a Hollywood Boulevard to help people by asking them to tell us their password. And this is how that went.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Have you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie.
Mm-hmm.
So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th.
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
So Jolie, 6, 12, 95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah. 4, 6, 8. And then Israel. It's only 3, but it's, for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4. Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So
like what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name.
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, now you know my password. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, the important thing is they learned a terrible lesson. Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Did you know there are things...
So just to wrap up on passwords and interpersonal communication, we can think that, I'd never fall for something like this. I'd never share something close to me that could be used against me, right? The slide I always get asked, why is there a picture of underwear up on the screen? Well, treat your passwords a lot like you treat your underwear. Change them often. Keep them private, and don't use the same pair over and over again, right? So if you use different passwords for different sites, even if one gets leaked, one gets out there, you can change that one. If you use the same password everywhere, one of them gets out, how many other of your accounts can be affected? Back, with that Rachel video, what's the blast radius? What can this totally affect in my life? Does anybody have any questions here before we wrap up? There are probably not. I guess what are they asking you to do? It depends what organization. There are some unions associated with law enforcement that do use telethon methods to raise money. That being said, again, if that's something you want to donate to, don't be afraid to use the Stop Think Connect. Don't be afraid to say, oh, okay, I'll look into it and hang up. There's no reason to be pressured into that. Certainly you can look into it, you can research it, you can find ways to donate on their website or get back in touch with them or with who's legitimately them and make a donation if that's what you feel like. And certainly that goes with any charity. There's no shortage of great charities for us to be donating to. And those change and different bad things happen in the world that we want to support. Note the number they called from, hang up. Normally contacted you. Yep. So a great pickup on those. And again, don't be afraid to terminate that conversation in a text message or a messaging app. You can use the block feature on your phone in that app, block that number, reach back out to the person on a legitimate contact line. Now, if there's somebody you've got other ways to get a hold of them. And say, hey, I wasn't trying to be mean, but I was afraid I was getting taken for a ride. And if they're your friend or somebody you know, they're going to be supportive of that. Yep. Depends how legitimate the organization is that you're asking to unsubscribe to. If it is a legitimate company, maybe you went to a conference or something. I know this happens to me. I'll go to a conference, and then every sponsor of that conference shoots you an email trying to sell you something. And that goes on for about 10 years after you've been to that conference, right? That's what the junk mail filter is for. Certainly you can block them from your account. If you don't think they're legitimate, if you don't think they're associated with something that you might have legitimately signed up for, then the best thing is just to block them, because those folks are going to still try to keep scamming you, but in a different way and from a different email address. Yep. Just write in your email client. Yeah, so the internet is kind of divided into three big pieces. There's surface web. What can I get on Google? It's what we call a deep web. Those are places generally that you need to sign into. Your email, for instance. I can't Google into your email. You have a username and password. That would be the deep web. And then the dark web, only accessible, generally speaking, by a thing called an onion router or Tor browser. Those are places that they're not indexed. They're not in the phone book of the internet. So they aren't on a Google, aren't on a Bing search. But you can explicitly go to them if you know the address. There are, contrary to popular belief, legitimate uses for the dark web. Was actually being able to transact information in hostile environments from the United States Navy is how it got its start. Now, unfortunately, there are criminals that are on it. If you have no reason to go there, don't. It's really just that simple. Doing those basics of that monitoring, watching your financial accounts, watching your reputation, that's going to go a long way. And even though there might be bad information out there, it might be transacted there, even accessing some of those sites without being set up properly can expose you to more problems. So there are bad actors there. Any other questions? I don't want to impede upon that.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure if there are more questions,
Absolutely.
we'll be happy to answer them outside of the.
Absolutely.
We got to get
service on.
Second service. So thank you.
Thank you.